I'm like, well, I have until the end of the year, and if not, I'm going back to corporate. I also want to paint the picture on the severity and urgency of the situation. I had invested already at least $6,000 into my business. I had nothing to lose. I had no other income source besides my unemployment, which, by the way, didn't even cover my entire rent. I want to just give you the raw, unfiltered story of what my year has been like. It is my rejection email saying that it forced me to face areas of my life that I needed to grow in. So now at this point, I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I'm crying a lot. And I also launched a third business, 7 new inquiries, 7 new clients that signed on, and we're gonna do an event with me. And I was blessed around 5 p.m. with a client who booked me for an event for $3,000. Getting laid off has improved my life for the better. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Cass. Thank you so much for joining me. This video is a long time coming. It is my 1 year post layoff video, and this is probably the last time I'll be doing a deep dive on this. I just wanted to create some closure about the situation. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, hi, welcome. I'm gonna give you a very quick rundown of where I'm at today. So I'm 26 years old, I live in New Jersey, and I have 3 businesses. I have the Social Lux agency, which is my main source of income. This is an influencer marketing agency for small business owners. So this is where I do PR campaigns and I do influencer events. Then on the other side, I have the Social Lux Club, and this is a small business community. This is where I do networking events, and I just love bringing people together. So the Social Lux agency is for small businesses looking to grow their business through influencer marketing, and the Social Lux Club is for small businesses to grow and connect with other small business owners. Lastly, I have GRAZE a Day, which is a grazing table business where I specialize in strictly grazing tables, dimensional and flat, and I also do brunch grazing tables. I don't do any charcuterie cups and charcuterie boards because I just want to focus on the grand tables that you see at my events. So now that you're all caught up, let's get into the video. There's a couple of reasons why I wanted to even create this video. The first being I already shared my initial layoff video and my journey after that, so I just feel like this is a full circle where we close this chapter. Secondly, I wanted to make this video for anyone who is currently going through a layoff, who just got laid off, or is maybe feeling lost post layoff. I want to just give you the raw, unfiltered story of what my year has been like, and especially if you are interested in entrepreneurship, because getting laid off can be such a shock, but also a blessing where it gives you the opportunity to rethink about your life, say, what do I really want? Do I want a career change? Do I want to move? There's a lot of things that tie you down to your 9-to-5 job that maybe you want to transition into entrepreneurship. So this video is for you if that is the case. And if you did not watch my layoff video, I will put it here and also link it down below so you can catch up to speed. I'm going to tell you everything that has happened in my life and career in the past year since being laid off from the corporate job, and giving you all the transparency, vulnerability, and just the harsh truth of what I was facing, because it was not easy. I'm happy with where I am today, but there was so much that has happened in this past year where maybe some people are not aware of. And a lot of people glorify entrepreneurship, and I understand it. There's a lot of freedom, flexibility, there is uncapped income, but there's a lot that happens in the beginning stages to even get it off the ground, and you just have to have a lot of faith. So I'm going to share that story today. To give you a little bit of background, I graduated from college in May 2021 with my bachelor's degree in marketing. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so right after I graduated college, I started freelancing as a social media manager for local businesses in Hawaii, and I was also pursuing content creation full-time. I moved to New York in January of 2022, and I was still doing content creation and social media management. In July of 2022, I became a manager of a boutique in Soho, which I got referred from a social media management client, and I also got hired from the boutique to be their social media manager as well. So there was a lot of social media management happening in my life, and by the end of 2022, I was so burnt out from social media management that I just wanted to take a step back. So I dissolved my business besides 1 or 2 clients, just enough to pay the bills. So in 2023, that was also the restart of my new career, which was in events. In April, I started a small business community called the Social Lux Club, and that's where I did occasional pop-ups, networking events, and I just loved bringing people together. Doing these events made me realize that that is my passion. I just love bringing people together. Up until November of 2023, I was still balancing being that part-time manager at the store, still doing a couple of social media management clients, and also doing some occasional events. So I knew that I wanted to get even more experience in events, so that's when I started applying for my corporate job. And this is the first time where I was really open to doing corporate. Before then, I had no interest in the corporate world just because I knew that I wouldn't enjoy it. But when it came to events, it just sounded so much fun. So I started applying to jobs, and I got blessed with a really great corporate job for a media company. I worked under 2 magazines and I was their event specialist. There was a lot of travel happening. It was just rapid pace of always doing different events. I learned the behind the scenes of putting together an award show, a really big conference, flying people to different areas. There's just a lot of travel involved, and I just loved every part of it. But I got laid off on June 28th of 2024, so it was basically just an 8-month stint in my life where I was in corporate, but I was so grateful and I enjoyed every bit of it. A very important piece to the story is I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I've never been conditioned to only wanting to go corporate. I know it's a little harder to transition from getting laid off to entrepreneurship if you're someone that has always been in corporate for years and years and years. I only had 8 months in the corporate world, but even with that small amount of time, I just felt very robotic in the way where I was used to having 2 paychecks a month and I had that security in that sense, but I didn't have any outside creativity. Because my job was so travel heavy, I didn't really get to lean into any of my entrepreneurial interests, so I put everything on the back burner in that time. June 28th, 2024, I got laid off at 9:05 a.m. because my call was at 9 a.m. I was in so much shock, but also part of me felt relieved because outside of my corporate job, I just knew that I wanted to do more. And at this time, I was also feeling that burnout of traveling all the time, and I was just getting really tired of it. So it was honestly all in God's timing. Okay, so now you're caught up. Let's talk about everything that happened after that. So after I got laid off on June 28th, 2024, I saw this as an opportunity to go all in my entrepreneurial journey. Immediately after, on June 30th, I got my first LLC for the Social LUXE Club, which was that small business community that I created in 2023, but it was just a hobby, but there was no revenue coming from that. I just wanted to bring people together. So I turned it into a business and I had to actually start thinking of how am I gonna generate revenue from this. I got my second LLC on July 14, 2024 for the Social LUXE Agency. Now, the Social LUXE Agency was something I wanted to pursue from the beginning of 2024, but I just didn't have any time because my job was so travel heavy, so I put everything on the back burner and I just saw this as an opportunity to just go for it. So in the month of July, I went home immediately after I got laid off. I just packed a little suitcase and told my mom I'm coming home, and I don't know for how long. I ended up staying for maybe 3 weeks, I think, just to get everything in order. I was planning my entire launch of my business and I launched it on August 1st. And I know you're probably thinking it's very ambitious, plan everything in a few weeks and put it out to the world. I had nothing to lose. I had no other income source besides my unemployment, which, by the way, didn't even cover my entire rent. I had nothing to lose. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna put everything out there. I'm not gonna be a perfectionist. I'm just gonna put my website up, plan my services, put it on social media, and then see what happens. I didn't care about being perfect. I just wanted to put it out there in the world. August 1st, I launched the agency, and I also picked that date because it's my parents' anniversary, so I wanted to do that in honor of them as well. But there was no real inquiries because I had just said in a few weeks, this is my new business, this is my agency, and this is what I'm doing. Of course, I didn't have any inquiries, but I had an inkling of hope, of course, because why wouldn't I? But I also did a launch event on August 11th, and that is where I showed people what the agency was about. With all new businesses, you need time, you need a portfolio, you need people to trust you. So I launched my business, I do the launch event, and I'm not really seeing any real traction. So naturally, I am stressed and I'm panicking. I'm going back on LinkedIn, I'm applying for jobs, and I'm going through interview processes. In September, I also decided to reach out to a few businesses to see if they want to do an event, severely discounted. And of course I say yes because it was severely discounted, but I just knew I need to build my portfolio. In September, I start planning these 2 events for these events happening in November, but I'm also going through interview processes. There's one job that I really saw myself at, and I went through the entire interview process until the last round. So this company was also a media company, but more catered to influencers, and I would be doing events. On the first initial interview, they said they're looking for someone with an entrepreneurial spirit, they're looking for someone with creativity, and they really liked me, and I thought this is perfect. I do the first interview, then I have a second round, which is an essay. It was like a 3-page long essay. Then I go through a round of 4 back-to-back interviews over the course of 2 hours, and then I have my final interview. It's just between me and one other candidate at this point. I get an email, and it is my rejection email saying that they did not choose me because I don't have enough corporate experience and they're looking for someone with more corporate experience. I was confused, but also I saw that as, well, maybe it's because I'm meant to be on this entrepreneurial journey and I'm not meant to be in corporate. So at this point, I am just putting all my faith in this business. October rolls around and I'm still not getting any new inquiries, and I knew that it's because I don't have anything to show for it yet. In this moment, I was essentially just banking on the fact that I'm gonna have these 2 events in November, and this will get people talking, this will get people seeing the vision and essentially putting their trust in me to plan their own event. I also want to paint the picture on the severity and urgency of the situation at the time and how much pressure I had on myself. So as of this point, I had invested already at least $6,000 into my business. I did a launch event, of course I had to get all the LLCs. I was spending a lot of money on inventory for future clients. I just wanted to get all the basics of what an event should have. Tablecloth, table runner, chair covers, vases, all the things that I just need the bare minimum. I was putting together fake tablescapes just for marketing purposes to just see the aesthetic of what an event would look like with me. So I was getting all this inventory for photos as well for marketing. I did a photo shoot. I also knew that I was gonna do grazing tables, so I also had to get my food manager's license. So there was a lot of things I was spending my money on. It was things that were necessary, and I was just praying every single day. November rolls around and I have 2 events. I have one on the 6th and one on the 20th. And in the month of November, I had 1 new inquiry. Both events went really well, and of course there were ups and downs to both, but nonetheless, my clients were happy and I got to push out a ton of content from that. But I only got 1 inquiry in November. So now at this point, I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I'm crying a lot. I'm stressed. I'm starting to look on LinkedIn at this point again. And to be honest, my savings was so drained. I'm like, well, I have until the end of the year, and if not, I'm going back to corporate. I am praying so hard every single morning, every single night, and I will get into this later, but my faith really transformed in this time. The first week of December, I was applying for jobs and I saw a job where I just knew, I'm like, it was just an internal feeling, because when I got my corporate job, when I saw that specific job listing, I saw it and I said, if I apply, I'm gonna get this job. And I got the job very easily. But let me tell you, it all turned around in December. December is when my business took off. And end of December, I had 7 new inquiries, 7 new clients that signed on and were gonna do an event with me in 2025. I was crying tears of joy. Every single time I got a new inquiry in December, my phone would go off, I would see that it's a new inquiry, and I would just start crying. And I would pray and I would thank God, and it was just a miracle that happened time after time again, and my business consistently and slowly started to grow more and more. So that is where I am today in the Social Lux agency. Now for my other business, the Social Lux Club, which is the small business community, I was trying a bunch of different things. I'm still in this transitioning phase where I'm figuring out what works best. And in October of 2024, I started a membership and I started doing virtual events. I created a membership and I ran that membership from October 2024 to April 2025. What I learned was it's just a lot of work to upkeep. There was a lot of things that I was learning. It was a lot of work for little revenue. And of course, it was nice to have that extra $1,000 a month or whatever it was that month, because it was always fluctuating with new members, less members, more members, less members. For 1, it was inconsistent. 2, it was a lot of work. And 3, it took up a lot of my time. But I had realized that I just want the Social Lux Club to be for events. It's just gonna be for networking events, to bring people together. I realized that when I started introducing more educational value and other resources, that my audience was split. I had one audience that really cared about growing their business in a way where they want to be a part of a membership, they want resources, they want courses, they want all of that. And then there's another half where they just cared about events. They just wanted to be in person. They just wanted to network. They didn't want anything more. So I was catering to 2 different audiences, and I realized that there was a division even with my socials. So in April of 2025, I decided to dissolve it and just start clean. So now, since then, I've only just been doing events, nothing else, and I'm going to introduce an educational aspect in another business in the future. And I also launched a 3rd business this year. April of 2025, I launched GRAZE a Day, which is a grazing table business. But honestly, I have not been putting a lot of time and effort into that business. I have 1 client so far, yay. And that was just from my 2-week stint of posting every single day. And then I got tired and I wanted to focus my energy on growing the agency. So then I stopped, but I got 1 client out of that, which is great, and I'm excited for her. I'm going to do her event next month. I'm happy with it because I would love to grow GRAZE a Day. I love doing grazing tables. There's pros and cons. There's less work and more money, but it doesn't help me grow the agency, which is my #1 source of income. But for the Social Lux Club, if I do more networking events, it funnels in more attention to the agency because It's the same target audience, small business owners. So now that I caught you up to speed on everything that has happened in the past year, I'm gonna share 3 major shifts that happened internally in my life since getting laid off. Number 1, the biggest one is my faith. This has been the biggest change. My faith has grown tremendously in this past year because there has been instances in my career and how my career came to be and where I am today. There was no other explanation than God. I've been growing my relationship with God for the past couple of years, but this past year specifically has been insane in the amount of growth that I've had in my relationship with him, my amount of faith that I have. To preface that, I've always believed in God. My family, we all believe in God, but we just didn't grow up going to church. We didn't grow up reading the Word of God. We didn't grow up praying all the time, and I simply just did not know. But in this past year alone, I started going to church. I have my Bible, I do Bible study. I pretty much only listen to Christian/worship music, and I just am so grateful for where my life is today. And I want to share this with you because there are some things in my life where you might just think she got lucky with this, but it was not me. It was all God, and I wrote this down, so I'm gonna find the notes where I wrote this. And I can make an entire video on this one day about my testimony, but I'm just gonna be speaking about the instances that happened in this past year. First thing, I wanna talk about the timing of the layoff. The timing was impeccable. So a couple weeks before the actual layoff, I was just feeling a bit lost. I felt like there's something more. I was getting tired of the traveling. I was just not feeling as excited about this current role. I've been praying every day, every morning and night for about 2 years now, so praying was nothing new. But I specifically prayed 2 days before I got laid off, and I specifically said, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in my career. I don't know if I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be in corporate for the rest of my life. I need more clarity. I need you to tell me if I should stay in corporate or if I should pursue entrepreneurship. 2 days after that, I got laid off. Out of nowhere. And this was out of nowhere because a few months prior to this, we had a lot of layoffs happening in that company, and my boss said, you don't need to worry, Events is safe, because it was essentially the moneymaker of the company. And she reassured us, she said, you do not need to worry, all of your positions are safe, they will be safe. And at this point, I was the only person that was specifically in events. My manager was events and marketing, so she had two buckets that she was filling. And then my other coworker was in marketing and events, but I was the only person solely in events. My role was also very important to them because I was in office, and also I was the only one solely in events. So it was a really big shock when they had eliminated my entire role immediately. So I just knew. I said, okay, this is definitely a sign. God is telling me, get into entrepreneurship. That's your path for you. And so that's why I was so eager to start my business. In November, this is when I am in the pits. I am worried, I'm stressed. I'm still praying. I had just gotten my Bible in September. I'm not used to reading the Bible, so I just wasn't putting my all into it. And at this point, I still wasn't going to church. So I get a comment one day towards the end of November. I get a comment on one of my videos, and it's from someone who is not subscribed, have never commented or never engaged in any of my videos before. I'm gonna put the screenshot on here, but I'll block out the names. And it said, girl, you need to start going to church to grow your relationship with God. And in the video that she commented on, I had not even mentioned once. I had not mentioned my relationship with Christ. I have not mentioned at all the journey that I was going on with God. And I did not mention anything about religion in the entire video. And she had commented, someone who is not subscribed, someone who never commented on anything before, because you can see that. She said, girl, you need to start going to church to grow your relationship with God. Out of nowhere. And I saw that, I'm like, okay. And immediately, what did I start doing? I started going to church. I started virtually attending one of the churches that is in Hawaii and that I'm familiar with. I attended my first church service on December 1st, 2024. My faith was so strong at this point because no money was coming in the door. I had one new inquiry, but they had ghosted me. I just assumed it was a dead end. And I just put my faith in God every single day, and I was praying. And then I got this comment. I started going to church December 1st, 2024. Now here's where the craziness happens. In the next few days, I'm also just stressed. I'm stressed financially, emotionally, and I decide I'm gonna go back on LinkedIn. I'm gonna start looking at jobs again, and I just want to see what's out there. And remember how I told you that there was a job that I knew that if I applied, I would get it. And again, not to say that in a very overconfidently way, I just had this internal gut feeling that I would get it. I don't know where it came from. December 3rd, before I go to sleep, I pray. I tell God I need reassurance. I'm about to turn back to corporate. I don't know if this is my time to be an entrepreneur. I know that you wanted me to pursue entrepreneurship, which is why I got laid off so quickly, but I am just not seeing any results and I don't know what to do. I wake up that morning to a new inquiry. And also the deadline to apply was that day, December 4th. So I just knew I needed to apply by the end of the day. I was thinking about it and I woke up to the new inquiry, but I wasn't sure. Praying again throughout the day, I woke up and I had that new inquiry. I see this as a sign, but I am just not fully convinced. 2:14 p.m., I get another inquiry. 2 inquiries in one day. I see the signs, and I said, you know what? I need one more sign. I prayed again. I said, God, I know you're probably fed up right now because I'm not listening to you and I'm not believing you, but I need one more sign to tell me to just go for it and don't look at corporate, close that door and just go for entrepreneurship. I pray this around 2:30. 2:52 p.m. I get an email from that one inquiry in November that basically ghosted me for 3 weeks. Out of nowhere, they emailed me and said they want to move forward and they're ready to move forward with the entire process. When I tell you, I just started bawling my eyes out and I just started crying, praying, thanking God, and I said, okay, I hear you. After months, I launched August 1st. After months of just it being quiet and things are just not moving, I'm putting my entire faith. I started going to church. I got the Bible in September. I got that sign in November to go to church. December 1st, I go to church, and now everything is moving in my life. And this just shows that once you're obedient to God and you're following his path and you're growing your relationship with him, your life will flourish. 7 clients signed in 1 month after months of crickets. And so now my business is flourishing, and now that I keep on nurturing my relationship with God, more blessings have come, more clients. Even there was a time where I had let go of doing the program for the Social LUXE Club because it was taking so much of my time and energy, where I was working on this program that I wanted to create and I was gonna launch it, but it took everything out of me, where I stopped reading the Bible at night because I was working until 10, 11, 12, where I would just fall asleep on the couch sometimes working on this program to get it out. And I realized that this program was taking a lot of time away from spending it with God and reading the Bible and nurturing that relationship. And once I gave it up, I said, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna put this on the back burner. Maybe it'll come up in the future, but right now is not the time. And I started going back to do my Bible study. I put this in my notes. On March 19th, I filmed a video to announce the dissolving of the Business Accelerator program, and I basically just explained why. And that same day, 5 p.m., I said I was blessed around 5 p.m. with a client who booked me for an event for the following month for $3,000. So I gave up a portion of my business because it was taking time away from him, and I was blessed in my agency with a client. And so that is the last thing that I'll say about that. But my faith has grown tremendously in this 1 year. I hope that me sharing this testimony also encourages you to grow your faith and to lean more into your relationship with God, because my life has transformed in so many ways ever since then. And I just have this glow to myself, and I am just feeling lighter and more excited about life in general. So the second major shift that happened internally after getting laid off was my confidence and my ability. The fact that people were willing to pay me for my skills. And I know you're probably thinking people in corporate do the same thing, get paid for your skills. But to me, it's just different when someone wants to pay me for my skills as an individual and for my business outside of the corporate world. So in the past year, I gained a lot of confidence in myself, in my abilities, in my career, and I'm just so sure that this is what I was meant to do. Because before then, I was so uncertain with my career. I had to restart my career a few times. I thought in the beginning I was gonna be a social media manager. I was gonna have a big social media management business, and that was that. I got burnt out. I was so unhappy throughout probably majority of the time, and I dissolved it and I started again. Then I thought, okay, well, maybe it's in events, maybe it's in corporate, and I really loved my job. Like, I don't want you guys to get that twisted that I was miserable in my corporate job. I loved so much of it. I loved every second of it. It was just towards the end, the 2 weeks before I got laid off, I think it was very intentional, where God hardened my heart against my 9 to 5 to make me feel bitter towards it, so that once I got laid off, it was seen as a blessing and it was almost a relief rather than a loss. But once again, right after I got laid off, I started from scratch. And so all these things had to happen in order for me to be where I am today. So again, I gained confidence in my abilities and my skills. Lastly, which is another huge shift, was my relationship with money. I value money so much more than before, and what I mean by that is I was a big spender when it came to shopping. I would shop all the time. I was very materialistic in the sense where I was buying new outfits all the time. I was buying new makeup, and I just had an overconsumption of things. I had so much clothes, so much makeup, so much shoes, so much of everything that it was almost devalued. And I know that people are always saying, you know, you need to have an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. Yes, but I was way too abundant. Let me tell you that. I was so abundant where I just didn't care. I would just swipe my card, whatever, and I just didn't care at that point. But once I got laid off, it was the biggest reality check, especially when they said I had 2 weeks of severance. I had never felt more stress in my life financially when I was just looking at everything, because I was just so conditioned to that corporate life of every 2 weeks I get a paycheck, every 2 weeks I get a paycheck, I don't have to worry about anything, it's all good, whatever, and then I get laid off. And it was just such a harsh reality that I needed to face. I was just such a materialistic person at that time, where I just had so many things. But after I got laid off, and after just realizing, you know, all I want to do is invest in my business, spend my money in my business, and not care about other things, I donated half of my closet, maybe even more. I threw out so much makeup because it was drawers filled with expired makeup. Because if you didn't know, makeup does expire, and I have very sensitive acne prone skin, so I just don't want to take a chance on expired makeup. But if you look at the back of your makeup, this is a side tangent, if you look at the back of your makeup, you'll see a little jar that says 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, whatever that may be. After that, it's not good. So I had drawers filled to the brim with these makeup products that were all expired, because I have been buying a lot of makeup since forever, and I just buy more and more and more every season. Thousands of dollars on makeup, thousands of dollars on shoes, thousands of dollars on clothes, and I'm not even using 90% of this. So over the past year, I honestly became very minimal in the sense of materialistic things. Like, I have my set wardrobe. Of course, here and there, I will buy some things if I need it. But between June through December of 2024, I was extremely frugal in my own shopping, where I was only spending money on things for the business. Nothing else mattered. And in between that time, that 6-month frame, I only bought 1 pair of pants from Aritzia for my launch event, which is crazy, because before that, I was on Abercrombie every single Thursday looking at things because they have a new drop every Thursday. I was buying a new outfit every single month, buying new makeup every single month. So the fact that I only spent money on 1 pair of pants in a span of 5 to 6 months, pat on the back for that, because I was very impressed with myself when I realized that. But in those 6 months, nothing else mattered besides making my business work. And even to this day, I don't care about spending money on clothes and everything. Of course, if I have a photo shoot coming up, I'll look and see, okay, maybe I can get a new blouse, maybe I'll get a new blazer here. But if it's not for the business, I pretty much don't really care to buy it. So nowadays, I basically don't really buy things unless I really need it. But for my business, I swipe my card so fast when it comes to anything that will improve my business, anything that I feel like will have a strong ROI, anything that I feel like will propel my business forward, I will swipe my card. Of course, I think it through, but if it's gonna help my business, I feel like that is a great investment. I focus on spending my money on things that will build my future, build my business, not build my closet and makeup drawer. So all of this to say that getting laid off has improved my life. It forced me to face areas of my life that I needed to grow in. Getting laid off grew my faith tremendously. It grew my confidence with my abilities and my skills, and it also improved my relationship with money and my spending habits. You're probably wondering, what is my plan right now? Well, for the Social Lux agency, that will always be my main income driver. So I definitely want to grow more, of course, grow more clients. I'm about to launch a new package, which is called the LUXE package for the GRAZE table business. I definitely want to hopefully grow that, where I can get some clients for the holiday season. And for the Social Lux Club, I am currently planning my next event, which is on August 27th. I'm really excited to bring you guys along the journey of my entrepreneurial journey and my journey of life, because I have so many exciting things coming for the Social Lux Club specifically, where I'm going to bring you guys along the entire journey. So whether this is your first time watching one of my videos, or if you've been here from my corporate journey through my layoff to now, I'm just so grateful and so thankful for you being here, for your support. Just the fact that you guys are taking so much time out of your day to listen to this video, watch my video, and support me along my journey. It means so much to me. If you have any questions about anything, please comment them down below. If you recently got laid off, or you're currently just feeling lost in your career, my biggest advice is to just lean into what you're passionate about, because once passion drives your career, you are gonna wake up every single day ready to work, and it's the best feeling ever. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not already, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.